This video is from lesson 1-1. This is part 2. We left off talking about pie charts and percents and taking percents of wholes. We're going to go ahead now and get to the next topic, which is creating a frequency table from a pie graph. And so what's going to happen is we're given a some set of information and we want to kind of represent it a new way. So for example, thinking of the last example, 200 people surveyed, 30 equal, that's 15% preferred their own vegetables, 85% is 170 people buy their own vegetables. So you can see how that could be represented in a table instead of a pie chart, right? These are percentages. Here's a frequency table. Frequency means how often something happens, and so then you have this information. So what would we do in this case? Here's a pie graph. You can see it in percents, and if we know 600 people are represented in this table here, what would the frequency table look like? First, you would categorize the different sections we have, iPhone, Android, other, and then we take the percent of the whole. Percent of the whole, and that comes back to what we originally had this formula here. Amount is percent times whole, so we'd end up doing some multiplication there. And so you can see those are the values you would get there. Now, another skill that we want to have in addition to this frequency is kind of being able to estimate from these situations, estimating values without knowing the percentages. So in this first section here, the question is, what would the shaded region represent more or less than 100 people? Well, if this whole thing's 200, the shaded would be less than 50% or about 95 people, because directly half would be right here in the middle. So you can see we're a little bit less than half. So a little bit less than 50%. And we could estimate about 95 people because the total was 200 and half is 100. How about, is this more than or less than 25%? Estimate number out of 1,000. So this is 25%. 25% actually would probably be, again, a quarter of it, somewhere in here. That would be your 25%. So we're a little bit more. And so we can estimate that about 275 maybe. Again, that's just an estimate, right? Estimate. So you may have a different number there. And is this more or less than 75%? You can see how it's broken up. If this is 500 people, half would be 250. Another quarter would be 125, half of the half. And so in this case, you can see it's less than 75%. Moving on to some more creating frequency tables, you can go ahead and take a look at, here's another situation. If we know there's 2,000 students, right, 2,000 students here, we're just estimating the percents here. These are estimates. You may come with slightly different values. But once you have those estimates, then you could multiply that by 2,000 to get these numbers here. Again, where does the 52% come from? This is an estimate, just to make sure you understand that. And so we're just estimating 52%, and then you multiply that by 2,000, and then that's how we get that information right there. Now, how about finding percentage when a pie chart gives actual values? So in this case, you can see I don't have percents, I have the actual values inside of each section of the pie chart. So here you can see what is the total budget for all, you just add them all up. What percentage of the total budget is spent on food? Food is 475 out of 875. Part over the whole, or the amount divided by the whole, gives you this and gives you that. Again, this is the decimal, then you turn that into a percent. You may need to review that, but multiply this by 100 or move the decimal twice. And then you have this situation here. What percent of the budget is spent on giveaways? Again, 180 divided by 875. You get a decimal, and then this is the percent. You're moving the decimal or multiplying by 100. And then lastly, we have this application problem here. You can see the graphs here, two slightly different graphs, and there's our answer to that, right? The number, let's answer this. Based on the graphs below, do you think the statement is true or false? That's going to be your opinion. Now, with that information, how would we do some estimates? You go ahead and you can see we're taking a part of the whole. You get your answer. Does your work in question 2 confirm or contradict your statement in question 1? The percent declined, but the total number did not. So you can see The not Hispanic declined, but there are more people now than there were before. So you want to make sure, again, in reference to the whole, we have more in the later year. That's it.